Alright, today I'm going to be telling you I'm going to give you the history of baseball and what baseball is about. Baseball, the first game happened in June of 1846 in New Jersey. It was between the Knickerbockers and the New York Nine. The New York Nine ended up winning the game 23-1. They thought the game of baseball was, they thought, invented by Abner McDougal. But it came out later investigations that he is not who invented baseball. It was here when the first people came to America. People brought it over from England. Baseball is a crossover between a childhood game and a game of cricket. A game called Rounders from New England. Rounders is pretty much the game of baseball. They have two teams and 3 bases, but it's not the same shape as a baseball field. It has 2 teams. One team is in the field throwing an object, such as a ball, to other guys, the other team, which is sitting on the sides with a stick, hitting with the stick. It could be any stick that they found, that they made, whatever. It could be anything. And the game, Rounders, you had to throw it to the guy at the plate, or the guy that had the stick. And it had to be from below his head, from above his knees. And they got as many pitches as they wanted. And they could run on a pass ball. They didn't have to hit it like baseball. Later on, as it came over here in America, older people started playing it, not just kids. And that's when the first game in June 19th of 1846 happened. It later came out, and after that, in the late 1850s, newspapers started calling it America's pastime because everybody fell in love with it. And so eventually, it just started becoming more and more popular, and more teams just came up, and more teams came up, and more teams came up. And eventually what happened was that the National League was developed. It was concluded of 6 teams, and years after that, teams just started building up. And it got to so big where there was 2 divisions, an AL, American League, and an NL, National League. And that split up into 3 divisions itself. So you had 2 divisions, 3 parts in those 2 divisions. An East, a West, and a Central. And so once that was established, it was discovered as the MLB, the Major League Baseball. And the last teams to join the MLB was in 1998, and it was the Tampa Bay Rays, and who else was it? And the Atlanta Braves. And so eventually that's recently, but in 1903, the 2 best teams in their league decided to play each other at the end of the season, and that's what we get the World Series from. At first, it was a 9-game series. Now it's a 7-game series. The first World Series was between Boston and Pittsburgh. Boston ended up winning the series and becoming the first World Series champions. And all those Boston fans out there, they always hold that above our head. And eventually, what became to happen was that it got so big and everyone started playing it that they just made the league, the MLB. And what happened was the guy that they thought invented it was actually he was across seas at the war. So he had nothing to do with it. So it became that was what everybody thought who invented it, but it wasn't. It was a crossover between cricket and the game Rounders. the game of rounders has been around since early. The first reference of rounders was in 1744 in a book called A Perfect Story or something like that. And so that's what happened there. And then what else happened was eventually there got to be how I told you about the 2 different divisions, 3 groups in each division. They started playing each other, and that's what came to the World Series. And now everybody plays each other at least once, and then at the end of the year, the playoffs start with the best records and stuff, and then that's what happens with the World Series. So, yeah.